G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in on the east side of the map. You may remember him as Voldemar. He's playing in the teal as the Chinese. We've got the kid. And take a look at what is he running right there in the middle? What is that monument? I'm going to need to get a closer zoom. Anybody get a closer zoom for me? There you go. How's that for a little bit of a wide boy? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We're on the pit here, and we've only introduced half of the players. But before we introduce our second player, I want to remind you, if you're enjoying this Age of Empires 4 content, make sure you leave a like on the video. It really helps out. Let's talk about who we've got over here on the west side of the map in the color yellow, playing as the Mongols. Of course, it's the one, it's the only, it's Beasty. Nice little boat there. We can get a real good zoom in right now. And for anybody wondering, why am I zooming like that? Why don't I just zoom in on the game? Well, actually, there's a good reason why. I'm glad. Thanks for asking. I'm glad that you're asking. It's because I can't do it. I don't have the option. And I'm going to mention it every single game until it gets fixed, because if I don't, it's going to take another 2 years before it gets fixed. Because unfortunately, caster mode has been relegated to the, like, if you were to put down like the priorities of the current Age of Empires 4 dev team, at the top is balance, where it should be, but then under that it's like AI changes, which should be up there as well, and then it's like engine changes or engine optimization, and then like new maps, content for the new season, magic monsters, you know, coffee, what brand of coffee that they're using, toilet paper brand, not enough toilet paper in the staff toilets, are people coming to work enough? And then finally at the bottom, it's like caster mode is down there, finally down there at the very bottom, underneath, you know, that question of toilet paper brand. But welcome. I know we're 2 minutes into this game and I've already had myself a rant. Welcome. I love this matchup. This is such a fun matchup, Mongols versus China. And the reason why I love it is because I feel like China's just such a great civilization here. This is one of my favorite matchups to play, as long as you play it in the Dark Age. And that's key. I really think what's important here is we need to see Voldemar look to go for that barracks early. So let's check over on his base. We can see that we've got a barracks coming out early. Wonderful. Voldemar knows what he's doing. For anybody who's wondering about Voldemar, I need to fill you guys in about this guy. There's a reason we call him the kid. Okay, so Voldemar was just your typical Gold 2 player. He played casually. He played for fun. He played water maps. He played every single civilization. And then one day he said, stop. I'm actually gonna get good. So you know what he did? He stopped playing water maps. He stopped playing random civilizations, and he picked one civ. And he mastered it. And he mastered the land maps. And he drove himself all the way, well, didn't really drive himself. He climbed his way all the way up to Conqueror 3. And people started taking notice. They said, hold on a minute. This guy's streaming every day, grinding, and he's really starting to kick some doors in. Well, now, not only is he Conqueror 3, he is in the top 10. I said earlier this year that I would not be surprised at the next Red Bull Wallalol or the next big land tournament that you see for Age of Empires 4, the kid will be present. And I stand by that. I genuinely think this guy is got some talent. You got to watch out. But you know what? I don't like the word talent. Talent implies that there is an inhuman ability, not an inhuman ability, but there is an ability that this person has got over others. But I want to say something right now. If there's one ability that he's got over others, and all pro gamers have, it's determination. It's grit. It is the desire to continue pushing forward and to not give up. And that's demonstrated in his practice. That's demonstrated in the fact that he grinds out those games. And he really tries to get better. And we continue to see it. And now, it's getting to the point where he's starting to threaten players like Beasty. And that's where it gets really exciting for me, because we are seeing the rise of a superstar. Age Up's now coming through. Imperial Academy. Just a little bit of pressure out on this map. Part of the reason I love China in this matchup is because of that early Dark Age pressure that you can put on here. And we see, of course, the kid is doing that now, looking to put pressure on the Uvu. Part of the reason why pressure works so well in this matchup as the Chinese is because as the Mongols, you can't control your spawn. Either you have gold protected or you have stone protected, but very rarely do you get both of them protected. And of course, you need to put your town center near wood as well. These are all considerations that we have to make. And as a result, you can see that there's a good chance here this Uvu is going to be going down. Now, Beastie doing a good job, a solid job here with the Khan, slowly trickling away the health of these spears. But the question is going to be whether or not this Uvu does stay up, whether it goes down. Now, the kid could look for a couple more spears here just to solidify that. And remember, there's always going to be a use for these spears. You're playing up against the Mongols, you're playing up against the Keshik. Let's take a look at what Beastie's doing. So Beastie, he's opened up with the silver tree. which makes sense. This is a great landmark. It's a great map for trade. So that all makes sense. The part that gets me is wheelbarrow. Wheelbarrow is kind of like, to me, what doesn't make sense about wheelbarrow is it's like, obviously it's great, don't get me wrong, but it's like we're kind of going into trade, but we're also getting wheelbarrow. Like we're going to be splitting our economy. If we were going into a second TC, then wheelbarrow makes sense, but we're kind of like, we're dividing up. It's like going for fishing boats, that sort of thing. It's not that you lose value on those upgrades because you do have villages, and obviously it's still a really good upgrade, but for me, the thing is you're not going to get maximum value out of that if you're not making more villages. Now, that being said, I mean, would it be getting the same villager out of it if you just didn't go 2 TCs as well? And if you just like went fast castle? Yeah, probably. So I still stand by. I still think it's like it's a really good decision. But the Uvu doesn't go down. And I think that's a bit of a mistake there from the kid, because just 2 or 3 more spears and he could have gotten himself an Uvu. And you get yourself an Uvu, now all of a sudden, that's that 150 wood that's gone. It's the stone trickle that's gone. It's the tempo that you've got from having that Uvu out here for the double production. So now all of a sudden there's less units on the map. There's so many things, so many factors that go down to that. So I feel like the kid, even though he's come all this way, he's still got some tricks to learn. That is for sure. So now for the moment, kid going to be moving into some archers. Not going to be looking for Shukanu just this early. Interestingly, no Barbican coming down at this point. We're right on board with him as he looks to continue adding in more production, more houses. We see that spearman getting trickled out here as well. Just a handful of units for the moment. And he's looking to put pressure back once again towards the middle of the map. Now, keep in mind, I'm not sure if he knows about the potential trade from Beasty at this point, but you can see the way that the scout is moving to position towards this backline. He is looking out for it. And remember that Beasty might not be trading, but he's always got the ability to threaten trade with this landmark. And that's something that you need to continue keeping tabs on throughout the game. So we'll look to see whether he does that. Now those archers, he's got to be careful not to lose the scout, manages to bring it back in time, and will spot out the first trader. I'm confident he'll have confirmation on this. We can see that the scout moves and immediately expect to see big things now from the kid. What's the reaction going to be? He needs to go hard on this. There's a couple of different ways that you can deal with it. Number 1, you can look for a Jukunu push in the feudal age. Number 2, look to go castle age. Think about palace guards. Number 3, you can go for a Song dynasty. Look to try and get that second town center up. These are all your options, but he's just going to stick it with the feudal age and throws down a stable as well. Says, we're just going to do it the old GUA style. I mentioned GUA probably every 1 out of 2 casted games that I do. And there's a reason, because he is so impactful on the meta, and he was who pioneered the 1-1-1. 1 barracks, 1 stable, 1 archery range, and just making a whole lot of units. Only the 1 TC, no 2 TCs, no castle age, and that's what the kid will be channeling here in these early stages of the feudal age. Double broadaxe now comes through for him. They both picked up their wheelbarrows, both picked up their double broadaxe. You can see the importance here of that wood economy. And now it looks like that scout will be going down. Unfortunately for the kid, he is going to lose it, but does spot out the Keshik. Gives him a little bit of insight. And it looks like he will be moving down towards this south side. You can see that he wants it. Still no sign of a Jukunu just yet. Really interesting playstyle here from the kid. Normally, when we see China, we see them going for that greed. Never really that aggression unless they have to. But it seems like the kid here has determined that it is indeed one of those cases where he has to. Pushing without a scout, though, it's going to mean that Beasty's in a really good spot to counter this if he so chooses. Trader comes out. Looks like it will get eaten alive. The first one of the game will go down here, with the kid picking up the first economic unit kill. We'll check in with Beasty towards that top side. Looks like he's now moving up towards the deer here. Throws down the Gur. Has he picked up survival techniques just yet? It looks like he hasn't. So no survival techniques just yet. Keshik's coming out. Doing a decent job with the micro, bringing the spears to the front. Unfortunately, they get picked off by the archers. Horseman now going to be joining the party as well. Needs to make sure he's able to keep these alive, and indeed, it looks like he will be able to pull them out by the skin of their teeth, but the Keshiks continue to chase. Archers need to get out of here as well. He's still making archers, but you've got to ask the question, why? Why do you need archers? Where are the spears for the enemy? They're nowhere to be seen. So what do? You stick with Old Faithful. Horseman, spear. A great combo. A combo that China has used for a long time in difficult matchups. China, Rus, Malians, especially. It's a really, really good combo because you don't have to micro that much. I mean, you have to micro for the engagement, but once the fight begins, baby, don't you worry about it. You just get that surrounded and you just right-click all the enemies. It's like, it feels like playing Protoss from StarCraft. But now we see those traders continuing to come out. He's starting to up the numbers here. We're up to 7 traders now. This is where it starts to become a concerning amount of traders because we need to stop it, and we need to stop it soon. Up towards the base, though, of the kid. Still no sign of a Song dynasty. No Barbican being placed down whatsoever. Now, if I'm feeling the kid, you could really go a little bit crazy with a Barbican. Now, we see these vills moving down. What if you were to place a Barbican down in this corner? You could really upset the dynamics for Beasty. A single Barbican down here, you know, bring those 12 villagers in. Barbican, good night. No more trade for you along this route at all. It'd be very dangerous, though, going for something that aggressive. If your enemy takes it out, well, you've just wasted essentially a keep. Remember that the Barbican is essentially a keep. It's a landmark, but it's a keep. And not only that, but it takes wood to repair. So as long as you get the Springald emplacement in it, it's a really strong landmark that you can capitalize on even throughout the mid-game. But at this point in time, we start to see the eco upgrades coming through. He's picked up all the tier 1s with the exception of our specialized pick. Continuing to move out now with villagers out over onto the berries. We'll switch it from our village account over to our income. Get a bit of an idea of where these guys are at. Remember that Beastie's probably going to be a little bit less accurate just simply because his traders take about 90 seconds to cross the map and they're only getting the gold, or the gold's only showing up for 60 seconds. So you're not going to see that true representation of the resource income at the moment, but a little push coming in now. About 1,500 resources for the kid. About the same over there for Beastie. So pretty even Stevens here, despite the difference in economic numbers at the moment. But the horseman now moving out towards the front. Movement speed going to be thrown down. Beastie. Actually, it was attack speed that gets thrown down here. Spears moving up. Going to be able to chase these Keshiks down, and you can see the archers doing a decent job to pick them off. Archer number here is really good, but they are getting some decent overkill. And as a result, now the archers on the south side for the kid will be able to pick up those traders that are down there. He's going to be able to stop out trade completely. Meanwhile, continues to chase down all those archers towards the enemy base. The consequence of not going for that 1-1-1 is that you've got a weakness, and that weakness is to spears. And now Beastie unable to defend against all these horsemen with his Keshiks. They just simply don't kill the horsemen fast enough. And the horsemen are able to kill the archers, destroy that mass, and Beastie back down to square one. Well, technically, I guess square three at this point. He's lost a lot of archers here. Huge value has been found right now for the kid. Double stable being thrown down. If there's ever a way to telegraph your plans, it's to throw down 2 stables in front of your enemy and be like, it's happening. I'm making cavalry. That's the plan here. Meanwhile, we got to ask the question, what's happening back at home for the kid? It's just continuing to rally out units. Look at this, and he's got supervision on the stable. 5 horsemen in queue. This guy is going absolutely all in here in the feudal age. And now pressure is building on this south point. We can see the kid beginning to rally in more and more units, and Beastie looking to try and keep everything alive. Expect to see a market be thrown down in this corner in the north. Beastie, the kind of guy who's going to throw down that market on the opposite side of the map. He doesn't care if it's a bit more dangerous. He just needs his boys trading right now. So let's see if he looks for it though. He's got vills up here, so it could definitely be going for it. Whether he finds it is going to be a different question. He's definitely got the resources for it though. We're right on board with him as he looks to defend up against this number of units. Ranged armor now coming through for Beastie. We can see that the upgrades have already come through for the kid. No sign of Zhukanu whatsoever in this matchup yet. Obviously, they're going to have a bit of a tough time up against the Keshiks, but we've seen them successful before. And there's the Barbican. He does go for the forward Barbican, dropping it down now along the trade line. He says, there will be no soup for you today, sir. You go back. And as a result, it's going to be very difficult for Beastie from here. The Uvu gets depleted. Beastie finds himself a nice little pocket in here. Archer numbers continuing to fire off towards the front, but Beastie really starting to struggle. And you can see just how much the kid is investing in his military here. Double the military population of Beastie at the moment. He is really going all in at this point. This is beautiful to see. But keep in mind, even though he's going all in, behind this, he will have Song Dynasty. It's 13 minutes in, so he's technically been only making 3 villages a minute for the last 14 minutes, but that is about to change. He's about to ramp that up from 3 to 4 villages a minute here with this Song Dynasty, and now looking to take enemy resources as well. 6 villagers, throwing the Barbican down, really safe on the delayed Barbican here. And now the question for me really becomes about, will Beastie look for trade on that top side? I feel like this is a mandatory thing Beastie needs to do. Throw down the trade here. The problem is you've got no walls to defend this trade line, but at the very least, you got to get it going, right? Like, you're just sitting idle. You're just doing nothing at the moment. What else are we doing? We got to be doing something right here, and you can see he's looking to try and get trade into this corner. He's got the silver tree that's stuck back here, though. And now the trade is moving up towards that top right-hand corner. Beastie really looking to battle up against the beast. And now the kid continuing to push through, putting on that pressure. Market comes in for Beastie. That's where he's decided he's going to trade. He's just going to be looking to... Well, he hasn't switched it out too much at this point. Khan does go down on the backside. Keshiks, he's looking to try and redirect attention back here. Kid not going to fall for it. Just a handful of units out to deal with it. You've got to be careful of those healing Keshiks. Still the kid double the military population of his opponent, but Beasty with a slight economic advantage. I say slight, but he's got 15 more units, and now the kid looking to wall in that final silver tree. He says, Silver Tree, you're very powerful, and I think it's best that you just stay put for the moment. And indeed, he does do that. Now those traders going to get shut down, but the kid is hunting right now. Look at this. The kid is on the hunt. He is just taking the Mongol game and saying, see you later, mate. And Beasty now just going to sacrifice all of the traders. For what? For what? I mean, does he just want the gold? I think it's just a case of he knows that they're going to die anyway. He wasn't in a position to challenge the army, so he's just trying to get the army as far away from his base as he possibly can to delay any inevitable attack that will come through. And now that the kid is into that Song Dynasty, you know what that means. It means Zhuge have arrived. And this is what is potentially the strongest unit in the game at the moment. A really, really strong unit. Part of the reason why we see China considered to be one of the better civilizations here, it is the power of this unit. And I still go back to that question of, you know, was the change in food and gold a buff, or was it a nerf? Because I think it was definitely painted as a nerf, costing a little bit more food, promoting China to get out onto the map a bit more. But has it just buffed them up and said, well, now China, if you just secure food, you can have even more, Zhuge than what you could have before. So there's a part of me that really thinks that that may have been a buff. Nice little job here by Voldemar. Got to be able to secure up this boar on the south side. Idle villager here. He's got to fix that one up. And Beasty kind of stuck right now, twiddling his thumbs, not sure what to do as the kid starts to build up a bit of a lead. Towards that top side, we do see the Keshiks out. Interestingly, Beasty still yet to move that market into the corner. He's got the market down here. What numbers are we getting here for this? Let me just quickly check, because he could be getting 70s to 80s. Wait. No. It's got to be stacked. It's got to be stacked. Yeah, he's getting 12 gold for each one of these trades. I'll tell you guys right now, that's not good. That is not a good amount of gold to be getting for a trade like this. You could be getting 80s to this corner. Maybe not 80s, maybe like 76s. All right, well, on the other side of the map, Voldemar now starting to wall up. He knows what his win condition is. He says, I've found myself a really good early lead here. Military numbers have started to build. Beasty's looking for a castle age. Is he going to find it? It doesn't look likely. The kid's striking at the perfect time. Beautiful little position here for Beasty underneath the town center. He's got the gold mine as well, just to block out any potential surface area from the enemy, and he continues to micro back. He's waiting for that castle age. When he gets there, what options does he have? Has he got improved siege engineering? He doesn't, so a Mangonel's not going to be in the picture at this stage early on. He could definitely afford to research it, but he doesn't have the building in the influence of an Uvu, at least at this point, and now pushing underneath the TC. We can see that the Zhuge together with the archers, just dishing out that damage non-stop here. You can hear them just firing off with a couple of do. And now Beasty in real trouble. 60 military population against 10. How does he possibly hold an attack like this? But remember, if there's anybody who never gives up, anybody who never surrenders, it is this guy. Step out now, coming down, moving over to the other side of the TC. That's not going to buy him too much time. But now we see the Keshiks have arrived. He should be looking to try and tap out each of these hardened spearmen. Villager's going to be turning around. Is he going to look to fight? He does. Everybody gets their daggers out. Get me a zoom. Get me a fat zoom. Look at that bad boys right there. We are zooming all the way in for this. We want to see the villager massacre. Well, it's not really the villager massacre. It's more of the archer massacre. And somehow Beasty defends against that attack with villagers and a handful of Keshiks. And he makes it work. He really makes it work. So now the tides have turned though. 38 workers have been killed. 39 workers have been killed. I don't even know where they're going down right now. There they are, up towards the top side. The Zhuge just being relentless from the kid. We are seeing the true rise of a star right now. This is it. This is your rising star moment. Take note right now. This kid, there's a reason they call him the kid. Because that's how damn good he is. And he's real young as well. You got to remember, this guy's got a bright future ahead of him. There's a lot of big games coming out on the horizon. And I just know that this kid, he's going to be there. So I tell you what, there's a part of me that thinks I got to reach out to him. I'm going to be like, hey, mate, I like what you got. I like what you got. Anyway, numbers are really building up here. Is he looking for a castle age? Not even looking for a castle age. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, only just putting the vills on the gold now. I was going to say, he's not even looking for a castle age. He's that confident in his feudal age against Beasty. That's absolutely wild. But we do now see the transition of villagers over. They're yet to do their first drop-off, which is why you don't see any income for the gold on the kid's side. But now on that top side, a little bit of a raid attempt from Beasty. The walls are so solid on this north side of the map. Good luck getting through there. You can see layer upon layer attempted here. just to prevent any kind of aggression from coming in. Really well played here so far by the kid. Let's ride on board with Beasty, though. What kind of way could he find back into this game? To me, the answer is trade. But how do you get... Oh, excuse me right there. How do you start trading, though? That's the part that I don't get for Beasty. Because you've got a Barbican to deal with. You've got a Barbican to contest. Once the Barbican goes down, then you're fine. But the Barbican really creates a lot of issues. So you could look for a ram. That would be fine, but then you need to clear out the vills, which he's doing at the moment. But there's still 4 vills in here, 2 vills that survive, so that's going to be enough. So you're going to need at least 2 rams to take those out. You could go for a Treb. That could be an option for you. But then, it takes so long to go Treb into kill a Barbican, and then dealing with all of the healing, or rather the repairing. It's like, I don't see how he can trade to this bottom side. I feel like, and he can't break through these walls either. So that's another thing to note. So maybe it's not a bad idea if Beasty looks to sneak through just a couple of Keshiks, tries to siege this wall, get the silver tree out, try and bring it back to base, and look to trade up into this corner. But you just know that when that happens, the kid's not... He's not stupid. He knows what's going to happen. He knows what Beasty's play, what his outs are right now. He knows that it's trade, so he's looking to lock it down. But we don't see a lot of vision on this top side. He's just got the mill up here. So for all he knows at this point, Beasty could be absolutely trading his marbles right now. He could be going ham with it. So there's a part of me that sort of goes, well, kid, you got to be careful here, buddy. But now the push out comes through. Age 3 has been reached for the kid. Veterancy about to arrive. Zhukanu on the back line, getting their upgrades. Is that yeah, that's got to be Zhukanu. I was like, is that veterancy for the crossbows? And I'm like, no, crossbows don't get veterancy. They are the veterans. But Spearman yet to be upgraded. The Zhukanu, they're going to be the main damage dealers here. +2 coming through. I was about to call for it. I said he hasn't gone for +2 yet, which is a little bit of a red flag. And now villagers under attack. Now, how easy would have it been for Voldemar to throw a wall down here? And he didn't do it. That's disappointing, Voldemar. Come on. I expect better. You're up against the world's best. You know that counterattack's going to happen. And we start to see relics getting picked up. The farm transition as well is happening. Granary already put down. He's picked up wheelbarrow. He's picked up horticulture. Survival techniques as well. Only looking for that fertilization at this point. Now Beasty looks to come around on this backside. Veterancy for the Spearman as well. +2 ranged armor on the side of Beasty. And now looking to defend. He's up against a huge mass here. The Zhukanu and the Spear together into the castle age. Still looking strong. We've seen Marine Lord pioneer a very similar play style to this. Normally there's a few more TCs involved though when Marine Lord's playing. And now Beasty rallying towards this safe little this safe little spot. Dug well and truly into the forest backlines. Manages to keep the Keshik safe up in the corner. And what are Beasty's outs here? I mean, short of pulling off some crazy raid, what are his outs, realistically? I don't see it. I don't see it for Beasty. I feel like he's got to get trade back in the game. If he can't... But the crazy thing to me is, like, it's actually not that far away from maybe I just, like, I'm giving too much credit to tempo. Right? Because Kid has had an incredible tempo throughout the early game. But he never took advantage of it, realistically. Like, he shut down trade. Don't get me wrong, he shut down trade completely. But Beasty maintains a pretty healthy economy behind this. And the Kid, he's only got Song Dynasty. There's no second TC. There's nothing too crazy that he's got going on back home. So it's not like he's scaling particularly well. And I'll tell you one thing now. When it gets to late game, I actually favor the Mongols against the Chinese. And there's one reason. 13 range Springles. So if this goes late game, I will warn you right now, this is not in favor of the Chinese. Now, that might be funny to some people, especially because you've got things like fire lances and no walls on the side of Beasty. But things turn out interestingly. Let's just say that much. Now, the push going to come through the middle. I will also just provide the caveat. If China ages up to Imperial before the Mongols, then it's fine. Because as long as they take a good fight, once they hit Imperial, like once you've got roller shutter triggers for yourself, once you've got your elite upgrades, then it's fine. Because you've got a massive advantage. But if the Mongol player ages up before you, then you're in trouble. But speaking of trouble right now, Beasty going to have to fall back. Kurutai nowhere to be seen, unfortunately for him. It's going to be the Step Redoubt that's running away from this position. And the Zhukanu numbers continue to put on pressure towards the Mongol army. Khan falls down. Archers trying to fight up against the Jukin are going to have a really difficult time here. These guys obviously dish out so much damage. You're talking 7 damage a pop here, times 3. So you're talking 21 damage against the armor of the crossbow. So that's 21 damage minus the 6 armor for each of those shots. And you're looking at 15 damage. Compare that over to the archer, which is doing 7 damage every volley. It's a big difference. But now Beasty finds the sacred site. 4 relics for the kid, by the way. I don't even think we've talked about relics this game. We saw it a little bit earlier, the kid picking up a relic down here on the east corner. But other than that, he's picked up 4 in total. It looks like finally we do see the Barbican taken out by those battering rams. But the kid, he's not having any of it. He says, oi, get away from my market. I built that with the intention of trading just to meme on you. I don't think it was to meme. Can see nice little use of the healing mechanics here. The Keshik just sieging down the mill on this top side. And now Beasty finally breaks through the wall. Keep in mind behind this, he's still got the silver tree. You know, he could, honestly, he could just be building up traders at this point, trying to break out. Okay, I was going to say, he should just be building up traders sitting back here, you know, up to 4, up to 5, up to 6. Sure, he's not getting the gold in, but it's not about the gold. It's about building up those numbers so that when you finally do break out, it's like you are coming out running. You are sprinting out of there with those traders ready to go. So good to see that Beasty's picked up on that as well. We can see that he's going to rally the trader out. Probably not the best idea because there is the risk that it does get taken out. But we can see he's actually trading from this market here. So hopefully he's able to secure this position on the south side. But the numbers for Beasty, somewhat similar to kids at the moment. In fact, very, very similar. I'm genuinely impressed at how Beasty has not died in this game. Because there were so many points where I'm like, okay, that's it. But the villagers actually killing the army, it made a huge difference. At least I think that's what it was. We'd have to go back and watch a second or a third time to really understand it. But now the kid looking to push down. He's got the single nest of bees behind this Beasty with a double mango. Definitely mango season at the moment for his part of the world. We talked about it in a video earlier. And now they're looking to try and throw down this outpost. Needs the line of sight. Spots out the mangonels. And immediately falls back. He says, I don't have the tools to deal with this. Expect to see a Springald on the other side. Do we see a Springald coming out for the kid? It doesn't look like it. Kid, if there's one thing I can tell you, it's get yourself some Springalds. He's throwing down a siege workshop. Now, normally the only reason we throw down a siege workshop at this point is because we want to get greased axles, which is the speed upgrade for your siege. But he's only got 1 clock tower nest of bees, which makes me think that kid may be doing something crazy. He may be looking to supervise the siege workshop and go for something like mass nest of bees. It's happened before. Let's see if he's able to pull it off. Springle number 1's coming out though. Definitely has enough. How many vills are we talking back here? 29 on wood. See, there's a lot of food vills, which makes me think he's really not in a position to go for a supervised siege workshop. So I think it's going to have to be for greased axles. That makes the most sense. Now, another thing to note, he doesn't have a lot of gold back here. 3.4k, that's it. Now, he's got gold in the middle. He can easily secure that with a keep. But at the same time, Beasty may look to challenge it. And now Beasty reestablishes trade. This is where Beasty finds that out. You know, we were talking about it before. How does Beasty get himself back into this game? What's his win condition from here? He needs to reestablish trade. And that's exactly what he's done. And now the trade is absolutely taking off. He's up to 14 traders. He's doubling up on making trade as well. We can see that he's got the market out in the middle here. Even though it's a bit more expensive, he just wants the tempo from those traders. Now we can see on the top side, Beasty actually went for a double prayer tent, but really came up empty when it came to the religious aspect. And now we see outpost spam coming in. I'm loving this, the defensive outpost spam. Most commonly we see outpost spam for the Mongols on the front line, but Beasty says, I need it now on the back line. Springald emplacement firing off, and I think he realizes, I can't push into this. I can try and push into it, but with the Springald emplacements, they just do so much damage over time. It's like, can you imagine right now you're playing your favorite MMO, at least not your favorite MMO, but remember that MMO you played like 6 years ago that, you know, your friends still play, but you don't play it, and you're doing a world boss, or you're in a dungeon or something, or a raid, and you're standing in the place that you shouldn't be standing. That's what this is. It's that damage over time that's just coming in, and you're like, man, just get out of the freaking acid, dude. oddly specific, I know. I don't know what that game was for you. I played WoW, not that game for me. The game for me was Arcade. I tell you what, man, Arcade is one of those things where it's like, if there was a parallel universe, it is definitely the one where Arcade didn't have terrible developers in it and terrible publishers that made insanely bad decisions for the game and killed it. But that's a story for another video. Let's move on. I'm sure that there's going to be a few Arcade fans out there. So if you're an Arcade fan, let me know in the comments. I want to see, if you're an Arcade fan, I want to see in the comments, I miss Arcade. Just say, I miss Arcade. That's what I want to see. I want to see you littering my comments with, I miss Arcade. If you missed Arcade. If you didn't miss Arcade, don't you dare say that. You say, I didn't miss Arcade. You don't say anything. Anyway, Kid now looking to go up to Imperial Age, and this is where things start to get spicy because Beasty's not in a position to do it. We can see he's just a little bit behind. It feels like maybe a minute and a half behind getting towards Imperial. If the Kid gets Imp, all he does, he delays the fight, he gets the elite upgrades, he takes a good fight, he destroys Beasty in a single blow. Beasty's still waiting for that roller shutter triggers at that point. So as long as he's able to get it, that's where it all comes in. And now we see the Spirit Way. He's only got the 4 villagers on it here. Definitely a lack of gold. At this point, like this right now is where you just need to move villagers to gold. Take every single one of these food villages and just bring them over to gold and just get that gold in. Because right now, all you need are those upgrades. And I think Beasty senses that now is the time of his discontent. He needs to push now. Crossbowmen. Are there any to be seen? 32 of them out. I tell you what, the difference between crossbows and Shukunu, it's a little bit difficult to tell. But now Springald's looking to move up. He's trying to get onto the back line. Beasty looking to fire off, but he gets outnumbered, outgunned, and outflanked. Double Springald out from the Kid. The Kid out-microing the Beast right now. And still the Mangoes make some decent shots on the front. But remember, you're up against Crossbow as well as the Shukunu. And he doesn't even need the Imperial Age. Just able to crush his opponent completely on this front line, and Beasty got to have no resources to go Imperial because he's going to have to replace all of this. We can see the Shukunu just clearing this out right now. He's got the Khan on the backside, still trying his best to kite, but we've got a nest of bees in the back line. Watch out, ladies and gentlemen, from the top rope. Sacred Victory approaches. Beasty says he's feeling good about it, but now the Imperial Age comes through, and you can see that all of the Shukunu are starting to heal up. Look at this. We got the heals. Give me those wide boys. Give me those fat boys. You know what's happening. You are getting massive amounts of heals, and Neutralize the Sacred Site is up on our screen for the moment, but that was an insane fight right there from the Kid. Incredibly well played. Able to out-micro Beasty, one of the best microers in the game, manages to take out the Springalds of his opponent despite having lesser numbers, and that's largely because of that Chinese bonus for Clock Tower Springalds. They're able to tank that one extra shot. At least if I remember correctly, they're able to tank one extra shot against enemy Springs, and that's what makes them difficult to deal with. I can probably do the math right now. Let me double check. 30 with 70 versus Siege. So that's 100. And these guys have got 210. No, 190. But I think with the armor, I'm pretty sure the armor is effect. Yeah, you can see. So it's range damage. So it's 80 damage a shot onto it. So 80, 160. So 2 shots is going to kill your enemy Springald, and 3 shots is going to kill your one over here. So have we got Roller Shutter triggers through yet? We don't have Roller Shutter triggers through. He's looking for Tithe Barns, looking for Greased Axles. Elite Horseman also coming through right now. The Kid on 178 pop against Beasty on 157. So I would say the biggest mistake right now is from the Kid is just not making more Siege. But look, we've all got different play styles. That's another thing to remember. He's still in Song, yet to go into Yuan Dynasty, where he's got access to the Fire Lancer. But it definitely feels like Beasty's economy is starting to stabilize. He's at 120 economic units at the moment. When we talk about trade, he's on 30 traders, which is a pretty decent amount of traders. That's more than enough gold income to keep you going. And look at Beasty. 2,400 gold. He's going to have no problem getting upgrades. So what are we looking from Beasty? We're looking for improved Roller Shutter triggers. That's going to be a big one. He might just start it off with Roller Shutter triggers, though. That's going to be a key upgrade here for him. I'm not sure exactly where... Oh, he went for White Stupor. So what do we see coming through? We see Military Academy. We see Biology in queue here. So he's looking to go into Cavalry. Interesting choice, going into Elite Keshiks and Veterancy. He's also getting Step Lancers, the Step Lancer upgrade. We finally see it coming out fully upgraded. But the one thing to note is that he's pretty far behind when it comes to military numbers here. Not only does the Kid have a larger military, but less economy units, which allows him to build a bigger army. And now those horsemen are coming through. I was going to say Fire Lancers. They look so similar to them. And now, Beasty in a little bit of trouble. Roller Shutter triggers is coming through, but it looks like the Kid is not going to be committing to any kind of siege mass here. Normally, you'd expect to see siege, but he's going to be going heavily into cavalry. 15 horsemen on the field. 7 more in the queue. Numbers really starting to build up on this front side. Beasty in a little bit of trouble. Needs to get more siege out on this defense. And now going into hand cannoneers himself, but up against the Chinese hand cannoneers, you'd be absolutely crazy to consider them. And now, Horseman, able to find out all this siege on the back. He says, I don't even need roller shutter triggers, mate. Go for it. Get your roller shutter triggers. What's it going to do? What's it going to do when I'm standing on top of you? Absolutely nothing. And now Beasty in a little bit of trouble. Where are his forces? He's got a handful of units back here behind. He's still looking to hold. Holding on for dear life as the kid pushes through. The kid now looking to come through with a final blow. The mangonel comes off the top rope. It gets eviscerated in a single blow by the enemy ranged units, but it manages to get that shot off. And still we can see him struggling to deal with all the ranged mass that's in here. Units trickling out across the map. No, it's villages. Just a handful of units coming out. Ville's going to get pulled onto the siege. Nest of bees will be going down. It looks like it's not going to be able to make it. But right now, the kid is just camping the production. He's camping the trade. He's camping all of the villages, and Beasty's economy is starting to dwindle. He's lost 78 villages, but oh, the cannon emplacement comes in. That's how he'll save the day. Beasty looks once again to save the day. Somehow, some way, this is why he's one of the best in the world. He always finds a way. And a counterattack on the other side of the map. Elite Keshiks with their extra lifesteal now looking to break through. Keep in mind, they've got their biology as well. They're fully upgraded. Beasty finds a way back into this game. Somehow manages to get behind here. He must have snuck through this little spot. There's no other way for him through. Khan going to go down. Meanwhile, back towards the base. Looks like Beasty is going to be cleaning up this mess from the kid. And boy, oh boy, have we got a game on our hands right now. 36 minutes through this. And I tell you what, I don't even know who's close to winning, and the game doesn't either. Less than 100 points between them right now. Absolutely insane game right now coming out from the kid. Somehow managing to make this work. Beasty somehow managed to go into a double TC. Meanwhile, this was all happening. The kid's still sitting. No, never mind. He's added in a second TC as well. I'm not even paying attention to TCs at this point. It's one of those things we can forget about. So, stabilization is kind of happening at this point, but the problem that Beasty's got is there is going to be an attack imminently coming through right now from the kid. He's at 163 pop, and it's only a matter of time until he maxes out, and he's got no other choice but to push. But I would suspect he's probably going to push a lot sooner than that because you're up against the Mongols, and they don't have walls. So you don't need to be maxing out, waiting for that siege, waiting for those production facilities to really have all that production in queue. So let's see exactly how it plays out for him. And now the kid, 5-1 advantage when it comes to military population. You can see him just pumping out units. Hand cannoneers also joining the fray here for him. Beasty looking for some upgrades. Stone commerce going to be coming through from him. An upgrade that was actually nerfed recently. Mongol trade has been nerfed so many different ways. Number one, their landmark, the silver tree, it trades slower, and it trains traders slower, and it also trades them more expensively now, so the discount is not as great. On top of that, trade in general has also been nerfed. You don't have the trade trick. On top of that, now you don't have access to that stone upgrade until the Imperial Age, which you always did, but it was never this expensive. It was always a little bit cheaper than this, so it was very easy to get, but we see Beasty delaying it all the way until now, and it's really going to show that, you know, had he had that little bit of extra stone, he could have looked to have got down cannon emplacements here. We can see that he's only got the arrow slits on a couple of these, a springwood emplacement on the one at the front, but now the horseman, I mean, at this point, the kid's not even looking to go into Yuan Dynasty. He says, I don't even need fire lancers to beat you. I'm gonna just do it with horsemen. And now at the top side of the map, Beasty looking to push through, trying to find a way in. Absolutely chaotic game that we are getting right now. The horseman numbers continue to rampage through. I'm reminiscent once again of GUA's horseman offensive. I'm sure you guys may remember a video that I posted years ago, probably 18 months ago, of GUA on Confluence, somehow holding off an hour-long defense with only horsemen. And I feel like the kid is channeling that right now. We also see Palace Guard numbers are starting to rise here as well. So one thing to note is that the kid is looking to defend with Palace Guards as they trickle out across the map. He's got the upgrades for them as well. No elite army tactics just yet, but there it is. It's on the way through. You can always tell by the health that they've got, but the hand cannoneer numbers are going to start to build here for Beasty. 38 minutes through it. It looks like he's going to be able to trap the step out, but I don't think it's going to be meaningful at all. Villagers here should be able to repair it up, let alone the units should be more than capable of dealing with that threat. Triple market here. Beasty going to be looking to really role play as Kaup in that legendary game that we saw up against Krakeny here, the Mongol versus the Delhi Sultanate. Millions of traders went down and Kaup didn't batter an eyelid, but I can tell you what, right now. Beasty's battering plenty of eyelids, down to 16 traders. A good game gets called. Beasty taps out. That is going to be it. The kid taking out one of the world's best players in an absolutely 40-minute epic game. Fellas, if you've enjoyed this game, make sure you leave a like. But most importantly, make sure you check out the creators that are in here. I'll leave a link to Voldemar. I'll leave a link to Beasty. And of course, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.